Ready to rock. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the HNM Pod. We are on episode 26 now. So, yay for us. We're past the quarter century mark and on our way to half century. But we'll get there. But thank you so much for listening and being with us for these first 26 episodes. It means a lot to us. We hope you get something out of it. So, please like, subscribe, rate, leave a comment. Also, tell your friends about it because we think we have a good time, but also share a little bit of perspective and knowledge in this fitness industry stuff we like to talk about. So tonight we are going to wrap up the first evolution series, part 3 of 3, and we're going to talk. So first one we talked about the evolution of movement and the gym space, things like that. The second one we talked about the evolution of supplements and diet. And today we're going to talk about the evolution of daily life and how it's changed over the years through our fitness journeys, or just daily life and daily habits. And so, yeah, we'll harp on a few things, trying not to get too preachy, but I'll start out and preach about how sedentary daily life has gotten over the years, even since I started out. Now, obviously, leaving high school and college and all the times when you're super active, but getting into the work world, especially, everything's so digital, everything's so computer based. So many of us have just sit down jobs for 8 hours a day, and then you tack on a commute on each end of that when you're just sitting in a car or you're carpooling or whatever. You're just on your ass a lot, and how that impacts an individual's fitness, fitness of a country, whatever country you're in, just the general population fitness. And then even if you work at home, right? I work in an office, and my bathroom is probably 30 feet from my office. And yet, if you're working from home, your bathroom may be 5 feet from where you're sitting. So it's even worse sometimes. So just wanted to talk about like how that impacts people and how it's impacted me and thinking about fitness and how much more important it does become because everyone's just sitting so much, and how it impacts your longevity, right? Definitely can't become a bodybuilder sitting, and let alone live long enough to really work on whatever you want, because it just does impact so many things.
Oh yeah, man. Like cardiac disease is like the number one killer for men, right? It's pretty crazy. Whenever I think about like sedentary time and sedentary jobs, I always think about whenever I do road trips and like you're in the car all day and you get out at the end of the day and it's been like what, like 800 steps. And then you realize this is most people's life. It's nuts. It's absolutely wild. That's actually what they are like. And then we have the opportunity to, or not, well, not the opportunity, the awareness. And then that gives you the opportunity to change that and actually try to get into some habits. But what I was going to say was when I was hearing you talk is that I noticed that there's a I don't know what the word is exactly, can't really find it, but it's almost like this permeation of a mindset of victimhood, or even just this formation of like new words that describe conditions that people are going through that they're not really sure or are unaware of actually not the same thing. So here, I'll just tell you what I mean directly because I don't have the words for it. Okay, so you have people who are sedentary, and then what happens is they're unaware of how much or how little, sorry, they actually do move in a day. And then now we have words like, metabolic adaptation. We have people thinking that things like the PCOS is the cause of their lack of results, or they think that, they should be able to eat more calories. And so they think that their metabolism is broken, and they're just critically unaware about how important movement actually is. Like movement is going to drive your success in, obviously caloric expenditure for sure, but other things that definitely benefit your health, like your digestion, your insulin sensitivity, all these buzzwords like that we're hearing all the time. And I don't want to get into that, but that's what I find the culture that has been created around sedentarism has kind of, again, permeated in society, is that like people just are really unaware of it. They don't understand it. Like when you actually assess the average person's NEAT, like their non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like they don't move. And they don't even understand it anymore. And then you'll hear it too. Like I had a call with an old client today. Funny story. She actually wrote me. She's saying, "Steve, I need help." So I'm pretty good friends with her. And so I gave her a quick ring. I was walking my dogs, gave her a quick ring. I was like, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, no, sorry." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, don't say I need help. This is the wrong words." Right. But then she's like, "No, no, I just need help with, getting my fitness back in order." And so we were talking. She was away visiting some friends, which is great. And she has talked in the past about how she feels like her metabolism is broken. Right. And maybe this podcast can just aptly time for this story. But so she was away, and she said it's really weird though, because I definitely want to fix my habits and get back into the shape I was last summer, and get this started for summer. But she was saying that it's weird because when I was at my friend's house, I swear I probably ate more than 4,000 to 5,000 calories every single day, because we were out all the time. We were out partying, having dinners at restaurants. But she's like, but I didn't put any weight on. If anything, I actually came back, like, I felt like lighter. And I'm like, yeah, I know why. And then she's like, why? I'm like, your movement was high. And she goes,
Dancing like a fool.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, your movement was jacked up. I said, how many steps you had? She goes, oh yeah, you're right. I'm like, Thursday. She goes, I'm looking now. Thursday I had 26,000 steps. I'm like, yes, exactly. And that's what people don't understand, because they're just so critically unaware of how consistent they are and how much they move. Like, I think we talked on a former podcast about that. It might have been one of the series, but we were talking about how, like, people just are really bad with consistency. If you look at them in one day, they think they're in a calorie deficit because they track their calories in one day, or they're hungry one day, and then they fall off by the time the weekend comes, right? And so in this kind of situation, you have a bunch of people. You have basically North America, who has no idea how little they move. And then they have no idea the correlation that has on the amount of calories they can intake. And they have no idea how the correlation that has on, like you said, like the things that are more longevity based. So your muscle mass, your bone density, your hormones, all these things that get ruined as you continue that sedentary lifestyle. And then now we have also, and this is something that maybe we'll open up as a can of worms on this topic, but we have things like Ozempic and these GLPs entering the chat, which are only proving to ruin bone density more,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, yeah, man, like I feel for people, man. I feel I feel for them, and this doesn't sound bad, not because of the result they're getting, like that's kind of on them, but more because the ignorance behind it. They don't know.
Yeah, well, I think a good point that you raised, and sorry, Corinne, to jump right back in, but you're talking about, I was thinking of it in the fitness space where you're right, like a friend or an old client or something comes and says, "Hey, I need help. Like, you know, what can I do?" And of course, move more. But to your point, you've had 800 steps in the day, or maybe you get to 1,500 because you have a little bit of office space to walk around. And then as a coach, you ask a client to say, "Okay, daily at least 8,000 steps." And you're like, well, you want me to multiply my daily just regular activity by 8 right now? Like, that seems insane, right? But that's because they're just not used to it at all. Like, we think 8 to 10,000 steps. Okay, yep, easy. That's just part of the day. But people who have to jump, it's almost like it's too big of a jump, right? We talk about the big scary things of fitness, and when you're starting out and you're going from 1,000 steps to like, oh man, now I need 8,000. It's an eye opener for people.
It definitely is a jump. And if you're just starting out, yeah, it's not super easy to work in. So where I also work an office job and I work a lot of the time from home. Um, Sorry, I'm just going to do a bit of a sound check because I could hear an echo. Okay, so
It's
yeah, where
good
I
on
work
my
from
end,
home a
yeah.
lot of the time, it's like I have to be a lot more intentional about getting my steps, and I have to literally block time in order to do that. Whereas in a different environment, I don't actually have to do that because it just happens naturally. That said, though, I have noticed, and since we're on the topic of trends this week as well, um, walking pads are becoming a lot more popular in home office space as well. So I think that people are starting to gain some awareness.
But there's
Not
something still
sure
missing.
what's doing it,
Yeah, but
but
something's still missing, man.
people,
Because I've had some clients get them, they don't get their steps still. Sorry to cut you off, but I see that people are using them, but there's still something's missing.
yeah,
Yeah.
or they're aware of it, and so they get onto the bandwagon of like, oh, everybody's getting into these walking pads and it's a new trend and like I'm going to use it. And so they buy it thinking that they're going to use it and then they actually just don't.
Oh yeah, you still have to step on it and walk
Yeah,
on it,
you
and
still have to, unfortunately, you
it's
do
still a
have to get
long
onto the
time.
walking pad.
Yeah, because usually they're not you're not going to get up to 5 miles an hour or anything on those ones. But you really just sit there and walk for 45 minutes while you're answering emails. But you're right, it is a good trend, I think, and I think even more so. I have a friend who got one and took it to the office, and like office spaces are also just as open to it now, seemingly, right? They're getting a little more I guess cognizant of like it's okay to have it started with standing desks, even just standing desks, right? So you're not sitting the whole time. And now
Yeah.
like there are multiple people in the office that have, just a small like walking pad. It's not like you're, super good treadmill. You can't incline on it or anything like that, but at least it's something even more than just even standing and obviously sitting. So I think that awareness has risen with just like, oh wow, we sit a lot.
Yeah, the thing is, man, like I'm gonna go back to what I was saying with the feeling bad for people because of the ignorance behind it, is that it doesn't tend to help. And I don't mean that to sound pessimistic, but I mean like when people lack a general awareness of their patterns and habits, like that's what we're really talking about. What was the thing you guys said earlier? Like you're like they have the trackpad and they still don't use it, right? So when I heard you guys say that, all I thought of was when you hear somebody win the lottery, and then what happens? They spend all their money, it's gone, right?
They go bankrupt.
Yeah, because they didn't learn the skill set of the person that would have learned the skills to get to be a millionaire. Like that's a skill. Like that's what people don't realize. To be a millionaire is a skill, right? Even if it is just through a job that pays you $20 an hour somehow, still you got it. It's a skill you learn. So when you're thinking, there's a echo again. When you're thinking about anything to do, oh man, it's brutal.
That's yeah. You guys got to figure that. It sounds great. So the,
No, I
the
know. It's
podcast is still
can
going.
you mute yourself for a second? I want to see what happens. Yeah. So, what was I saying? What was the last thing I said? This is gonna be distracting, guys. Okay, go back on. You're better.
Any better?
No, it's better now. Yeah, it's just gone again. Oh man, what was I saying? My train of thought completely left my head the second I heard
People
the.
get their walking pads, but don't necessarily use them.
Yeah, so like we have people who are not having
They
the
don't
skill
have the
set to
skill.
continue. Yeah, and then what happens is because they don't have that skill set, they're wondering why they fail. And so if you look at the accumulative habits you're building as you're trying to scale yourself into a system of like, I have, my steps to hit per day, I have my macros to hit per day, I know the effect of these things. Like we know this, we're in this industry, so we understand the effect that has. Alex, you know that if I tell you, hey man, like, well, if you reach out, let's say you reached out and said, hey, I'm stuck in this last pound of body fat, then I could tell you, hey, are you doing your cardio? Are you hitting your macros? And you'd be like, done them all, right? Then I could change something for you. I could provide a suggestion, and then that would be local or localized. That would be one little event unto itself. When people tend to increase stress in their life, if they don't have the skills, what do? They go eat more. So these people who are probably walking more, what happens? They go and eat more. They get
And they
hungrier,
just
right?
offset it.
And they
Yeah.
offset it. Yeah. Or what happens is they actually get more in shape, which is good. But then because they're more in shape, the steps that once had a metabolic effect no longer do. Like it used to bring their heart rate up to like 110. Now it's not. And that happens all the time. Like I have a lot of clients who started like that. Like basically every single Gen Pop client that starts out in the beginning, they all start out and they're like, yeah, walking actually is like it's somewhat cardiovascular. And then they get used to it and the cardiovascular demand just completely dumps off, right? And they're wondering why they're not getting the same result from the same thing. And then again, enter these words that we have now in society like metabolic adaptation. It's like, no, 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 you're not metabolically adapting. You're just critically unaware of how these systems work, right? So like it's a good solution. It's increasing, some kind of awareness, but it's like what's the answer? And I think that it has to do with honestly like just stepping away from it all. Because when you do, you start realizing that you're essentially just applying band-aids everywhere to a system that's broken.
Yeah, I was gonna add a comment that like people are also people are adding walking pads into their environments and they're moving more, but there's still like the boxes of donuts entering the office. That hasn't changed.
Yeah. Yeah. To that point, you're just kind of offsetting some of it, right? Like, yeah, yes, good. Keep the steps up, but the whole system needs to be rewired and fixed. But at the same time, again, sunshine and rainbows, Alex, you've started one of them, and so good. Let's start one and then stack those habits, like Corinne likes to say, because it is much harder to change them all at once than say, okay, at least I walk 2 miles a day on my walking pad now. Maybe next day don't go after the office donuts, right? And cut one of those out. So again, it's like it all is baby steps too, right? And at least the conscious choice has been made to get a walking pad, then use the walking pad, then start making better choices elsewhere.
So before the podcast started, you guys brought up like what's the timeline of this, right? And just to kind of think about that right now out loud, what do you guys think has been the biggest shift between, or I don't even want to say like 80s to now, because I don't think this is necessarily a bodybuilding question, but more like what do you guys think might have been a big shift in terms of a time break in which you saw a sedentarism kind of increase or some kind of difference in terms of how humans started looking at fitness? When I think of that, I think probably, again, we weren't around for this, but industrial revolution probably had something to do with it, right? And then we probably had something
Yeah.
to do with boomers. And like, it's because it's funny because if you have boomers right now, like I always joke around about this on video calls, because if I have older clients on video call, I have to make sure I'm seated talking with them like that. I have one guy who always shows up here. He literally straightens his keyboard. He sits up straight, and he's an older guy. And I respect that. It's great. It's for him. This call is for him. So we're going to do that. But that said, though, like, there's nothing wrong with me on a trackpad if I want to be walking on a trackpad. But they don't understand that. That's not how their brains were raised. So, like, you're seeing a mentality that's been put into their brains. Again, that generation. How old's Boomer again? Is it 60 to 70?
Yeah,
Something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
my
So
60.
parents.
they don't
Yeah,
they don't understand that. They actually would think that's first of all disrespectful, and then they would also think like, no, you can't walk and have a meeting
your
because
intention is elsewhere.
your
Like,
attention's elsewhere. Give me your attention. Yet I could show them thousands of studies showing, not thousands, but like a lot of studies showing, hey, it actually increases oxygenation to your brain. There's like site maps now on the brain having been outside versus being inside the whole time, and how much activation you get in different parts of your brain. It's freaking crazy. Like there's a lot of cool stuff showing that's like, no, there's never a bad thing towards getting outside and walking, right?
yeah,
Or even just walking in general. So we have that mentality. And then the next thing would be the mentality of looking, or sorry, the time break in which we had a shift of looking at fitness as something that first of all freaks did. So you have like the one arm cannonball man, like driving the big cannonball kind of dumbbells pushing overhead, like circus freaks. And then you had it come into kind of like bodybuilding. Then it had it come into fitness crazes. And then now it's definitely more widespread. I feel about 10 years ago is like a really good Goldilocks zone. Like we were kind of in a really cool place about 10 years ago, if you know what I mean, because like it wasn't crazy yet with the broccoli hairs, and we weren't crazy with the filming. We weren't crazy with the Instagram lifestyle. It was getting there, but it wasn't there yet. It was still publicly okay to look at an Instagrammer and be like, ha. And then now that's everybody. So you're like, huh? Like you can't go to the gym without it almost being acceptable that they're pushing you out of the way. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's a
I think
weird
we
flip.
can. Getting to the online discussion, right? As the world got more and more internet savvy and heavy and interacting social media wise, like that was one step. And then the isolation of COVID, I think, skyrocketed that because that was the only way
Yeah.
you were kind of technically allowed to talk to people. So people got even better at it, got even more involved in their phones and everything like that. And then I think even at work, I think about like when I first started my career. I mean, we're talking 2010, not that old, everybody, but like 2009, 2010. If I had a question for a coworker, yes, we had email and things like that, but like Teams, the big awful thing that is Teams wasn't relevant, right? There was no like IM system, right? There was no instant message where you just pop on and ask a quick question.
What's Teams?
Oh, like you had to
Microsoft
walk over
Teams,
and ask
yeah.
somebody.
So Microsoft Teams is like an IM, like, but
Oh,
it's from your keyboard, right? So you can IM them and not have to send an email. I mean, an email is fast enough, but people
did
get
you
plenty of
hear
emails.
about the one thing? I'm sorry to interrupt. There's
Yeah.
there's a thing where like this guy was talking about how he couldn't get away from his micromanaging. I think that's what it was. It was Teams. Now that you're saying that, he couldn't get away from his micromanaging boss because his boss literally wanted him to wiggle his mouse every 3 minutes just to see that he was active on Teams.
The
So he
active
made sure he was.
status.
And he was like, "I'm not doing that." And he was like, "Well, I need to know you're working." He's like, "You'll know I'm working because the job's gonna get done." And all I could think is like, man, like you guys are like, obviously that this is a different conversation, but it also made me think about how that mentality alone of having somebody glued to their desk, and then now and again, it's something that I won't understand as much as you guys because I haven't done corporate world in a long time, but that mentality and how it would fester in somebody's head and then make them think now they're actually responsible for being here. Because I've had clients that were like nurses or what was the one? I don't know what it's called, but basically, in us, what do you call it? When somebody gets the test for pregnancy, what's that thing called?
Ultrasound tech.
Ultrasound tech. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and she couldn't leave. She couldn't literally leave from the spot all day. Like she was the only person, so she literally couldn't leave. She's like, it's hard to get a bathroom break, and so doing steps with the person like that's impossible. And then now you have this other, since COVID, like you're saying, you have this thing that's kind of come out where people are managing you from other places in the world, and now you're like, no, I can't leave my desk. I have this person want me to wiggle a mouse every 3 minutes. Like, how do I do this?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The whole active status micromanaging is pretty wild. To your point, and that's the kind of, I guess, leader you try to aspire to be, is like, we'll have a discussion about your active status if your job doesn't get done. Like that's easy enough to talk about, right? Like you're here to do a job, give me results. I couldn't care less if you do it. Well, I mean, not in an office, but I couldn't care less if you do it butt ass naked at home. Deliver the results and we're good to go. But Corinne, but Corinne nailed it. What I meant was now you just send an IM. At least you would get a couple hundred steps walking down the hallway because you had to physically ask a question that you had instead of like bloop, 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 or quick Teams call. Like it's even that has, yes, you talk about workplace efficiency and time wasting, but from just a health and sedentary perspective, it's been a killer. Like just that simple, instant message in the workplace change.
So what have you guys noticed? So I'll lean on you here for that because I would like to know what your opinions are. I have my own, of course, but what have you noticed physically from being in a position where you actually sometimes are glued to a seated job or a position for a long amount of time? Does it affect you for performance? Does it affect your mood? What does it affect?
It affects mood for sure. Having to look at a screen for extended periods of time and you get the strain in your eyes, and after work you're not motivated to go to the gym and have a lift. You kind of just slug through it some days. Yeah, I hear it too.
Okay, well, I'll jump in because it's not outgoing for me. But yeah, I agree. It's definitely a mood thing. Talk about habit stacking and how like good habits and doing physical activity stacks on itself, and you want to do more and like feel that energy all the time. Lethargic habits, I guess if you want to call them that, also stack. And so like I like a good bed rot day, right? Like if it's not a heavy lift day or if it's some kind of an off day and I have the opportunity to just kind of lay around, it's fun, but it's almost like it makes you more tired.
Yeah.
Like so it's the same thing with sitting at a desk all day. Like there's definitely, whether you're a caffeine addict or not, the afternoon lull because you've been sitting there the whole time and just like literally almost gonna like nod off. Like I catch people nodding off in meetings, not because they're, underslept or something. It's just like you're just blah.
Yeah. Since I started doing online coaching, that's the thing that I've really found has become like, center point of my mind whenever I'm trying to help somebody is to help them realize that how they feel is rarely actually something that they can own as like a unique character trait. So like your typical middle-aged man who doesn't like cardio. It's like, no, but you don't like cardio. It's something, you're out of shape. You don't like doing hard things. I get it. It's not like you don't like cardio. You're not the one person. And again, like old podcast, we're probably going to reference that podcast forever. Like you're not special in the wrong way. But it's same kind of thing with this, right? Like when you have, somebody who's lethargic or doesn't want to work out after a long day, it's like, no, that's not you. You don't get to own that. that's actually a byproduct of being sedentary. Like when you're sitting down, that encourages more sitting down, right? And again, flip it as well. Like in the summer, my days are basically like, well, when I'm not in front of the desk, right? It's like get outside, walk a dog for 2 hours. I love walking her. It's one of my best parts of my day because I get to listen to something I like to listen to, get to get the sun on me. And like, I don't even know how much I burn because it's like freaking blistering hot out sometimes and just taking it in. Come back, hit a workout for an hour and a half, and then I might do something else like sauna after. Like it's a long day, and I feel like I could do more. And then sometimes in the winter, it's like gross out, and you're like sitting here, And then after an hour, and I've even tested it. I've actually like seriously, I've actually tested it where I've been like, I feel great. I'm gonna see if I can ruin that. Not because I want to, but I want to see what happens if I just open Instagram and sit on my phone. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. An hour later, I'm like, I don't want to do anything. And it ruins your mind. And then if people don't know that, again, that's what I'm noticing is in my mind when I'm thinking about the constant theme of like, tonight's podcast is just about how the ignorance of people and how this lifestyle is affecting them is really the killer because they don't understand that these things are happening to them. They don't understand that sedentaryism is not creating these like in and itself, it's not creating these phrases like metabolic adaptation. It's not creating things like your PCOS. It's not creating things like a room metabolism. It's creating an event that now snowballs and affects other areas of life. Also, like I was just saying, like being able to be aware of how other things kind of, yeah, like permeate in your own life and create problems. Like people are unaware of that. Yeah, these identities they might hold so dear are not actually their own. Like they're not having a hard time getting to work after a long day of work. Or sorry, getting to the gym after a long day of work. That's what happens to the human body. Get it in motion. It craves more motion. It craves more energy. Right. It's a weird flip. That's why we always say though, right? Like you never regret the workout that you hit. Like you go there after a long day at work and you feel great as long as you
Yep.
can get there.
Opening that gym door, that heavy ass gym door, getting in there. Yeah, I agree. Challenge anybody. Go have a workout and feel worse. It's just not going to happen.
Not
Yeah.
compared to
It's like
that.
one of Newton's laws of motion. I don't know if it's one or two, but an object at rest stays at rest. It pretty much applies here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting though. It is. It's really fascinating because like again, I'm going to keep on revisiting this. So guys, please let me know your thoughts on that. Because I was going to ask my next question is something different. So just to kind of rehash on that, like if you guys are noticing that, what do you think everybody else who's unaware of their fitness is feeling?
Yeah, they're feeling like it's a mountain they can't climb. Like I said, like to go from not wanting to move or not knowing that you haven't moved enough to get to a level of moving more seems like this big scary hill. And I'll just go back to those steps, right? I get a 1,500 steps a day, and now I want to do something about it. And yes, you can gradually do it and hit things, right? Hit small wins and milestones, but to get to kind of a decent standard of even 8,000 steps a day just consistently seems like this inhuman task because you're just not ready for it. You're not used to it. How do I work that in? That's so much time, right? I think that like the body starts tricking the mind, and the mind starts tricking the body back to say like, no, like we can't do that.
Do you
Just
think
as
at the end?
another,
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
maybe just like a perspective and from personal experience as well, but I think that where life gets pretty sedentary starting, I guess I would say as soon as we start going to school as kids, it starts to get a lot more sedentary because you're sitting in a classroom, you're at a desk all day. Yeah, you have your recess and you have your mandatory gym class, and that gets you to move around and whatever. But as soon as you pretty much get into middle slash high school and PE isn't necessarily mandatory anymore, maybe you were a band nerd that didn't play any sports like myself, and you are a lot more sedentary than some of the other kids. And then you finish high school, you go to university, you spend your whole time there just studying and not really caring about movement because academia is life. And then you don't even realize what it's like on the other side. Like you'll never know what it's like to be out of shape until you get in shape.
You don't have a comparison yet. Yeah, I that's a really good point. I always go straight to, well, corporate life, and then you're sitting all the time. But that's a good point. You're sitting, learning the sitting habit, even as a kid, right?
Yeah. Um, so that's what I was going to comment on just in terms of timeline. I think that the sedentary lifestyle actually starts a lot earlier. And I was also just going to comment that I feel like in some ways it's gotten worse. Now, I don't have firsthand experience. It's not like I have kids that have iPads or whatever, but the iPad kid phenomenon, it's like before we would be outside playing and we wouldn't have screens or high stim TV shows in front of our faces for so many hours of the day. So our options were to connect with other humans in real life and play.
Yeah.
Now I feel like that's less of a thing, and it's even more time that's spent being sedentary in front of a screen.
It's changing how people relate with play as well, man. It's really different. It's crazy. Like I have a couple younger clients, and this is a new thing. Not that I haven't trained young people, but it's a new thing where it seems to be recurring now. It's like the adults are starting to realize that their kids need help, which is really cool. Because this isn't the first time. And the one young boy that I have, that I trained in person here, he whenever a set gets hard, he wants to give up, and I'm not saying this to cast shame, but I feel like I've seen him like break down, you know, and it's like it's a hard thing to witness for a young boy to do that because, you know, he's a young man, he's not a young boy, he's a young man, and
Yeah,
so it's
so I
like
guess that's a whole nother podcast, right? Like when to start really pushing. I mean, if you're in like a sport where you run around a lot, you start getting pushed to throw up, right? Like pretty
yeah.
early
Well,
in
we
life.
haven't
But
even
like how,
gone.
yeah. So how old is in just in general ish, right? What are you talking about? Like not a boy. He should be a man, and he's having to learn all these tough things, right?
Yeah, and it's like, so what's created that, right? Because like when you play hockey out before the street lamps come on, what happens when you play hockey? You play hard. I used to
Yeah,
play and I was sweating. And that's what we used to do, right? And so playing hard was just that's how you learned what doing hard things was. So then you go to the gym, you're like, oh, this just feels like that. Pushing
yeah,
hard on a set of lunges just feels like I just didn't stop playing hockey hard, you know?
yeah. Because a lot of times you could play hard, and if you could play and run harder and longer than your friend, you were going to win.
You're gonna win.
So that was, and you just wanted to beat your friend,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like
then now
exactly.
they're met with it as in like I can't do this and this is uncomfortable and I don't like it and I also have these other things that are instantly going to give me that satisfaction. If I can just plant my butt in front of a TV, I'm going to be immediately happy and I don't have to do any of this. So why am I doing this? And it's just it's festering a really messed up kind of um yeah, kind of generation, or at least the mindset, not the generation itself. Like I hope that they figure themselves out. But I'm wondering again, like what the people who are going through this are feeling and how to get them out of that because it's very I find the dangerous thing isn't the lack of awareness. It's like I've used the analogy before, but a cigarette pack. It's like what do you see? You see ruined lungs. You see a person with a ventilator. You see tumors. They know they're gonna die if they smoke cigarettes. Like it's not a secret anymore, right? But they smoke them. So people know they need to exercise. Like we're at that point now. Like we had that Goldilocks zone 10 years ago where it seemed like it was affected and people started realizing, yeah, this is good for me. So there was like the resolutioners. But again, now we're in a weird place. And I feel like it's kind of shifting where people are kind of like, they know it, but now they don't care, you know?
They're still choosing not to.
Yeah, they just don't care. Like I feel like my job online sometimes, and I don't want to again my goal here is not to make people feel bad, but my goal my sorry I feel like sometimes my job online is actually just to preach how good fitness is to people who don't want to hear it, for them to reject it, and then to get comments from people who also agree fitness is great because they're doing it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
so it's like
that's not what I want.
you're not who I'm preaching to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want you commenting. I know you like fitness. Dude, I get it. You're always there. I see you. You're jacked. I don't
I'm
need
gonna
you. Go
comment
away.
I like fitness on every one of your posts from now
Yeah.
on.
That's the thing. I want somebody else who's like, yeah, you're right. Like I want somebody to have a realization to be like, oh, maybe these are not influencers, but people who are trying to like, say this is good. Maybe the reason why they're saying that is because they've been where I've been and have realized that it's a better place where they are now than it is to be out of shape, out of fitness and just unhappy. And
Yeah, I
and
mean
that's
the fact that the out of shapeness isn't just like I might be fine with the way my body looks, that's fine, but what it does with your mental health and all of the interconnected things internally, that getting in a little bit better shape or having some type of active hobby, right? We're not asking everybody to go out there and get to 12% body fat and walk around with a six pack. We're just saying, hey, this will help your whole life a little bit more.
but even then, hypothetically, why not? I'm not saying
Oh,
they have to, but why not?
listen,
Who's gonna wake up honestly looking amazing and be like, "Ah, I'm too sexy," right?
I gotta
It's not
tone
gonna
it
happen.
down,
well, it's
man.
never going to happen
I
because
gotta
when
tone
they
it
get to a
down.
certain point, they're going to have body dysmorphia anyway, and they're never going to think they're
They
sexy.
already have
So
it though. That's
I
what that's
know.
what pisses me off. They already have this have a reverse. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. It's like that you either do the thing or you make the world change their view on you not doing the thing, right? And obviously we're kind of jumping topics here, but I think it's worth talking about in regards to like how people are kind of shifting their mentality, and that's what I'm seeing because of this lifestyle. Again, the sedentarism, the demands of the culture, of the workplace, of the lifestyle, encouraging that, and then also the other things like the stacking of all the different lifestyle habits, the food choices, all that kind of stuff, how they're conducting their life to continue to fit in that shell of what they're now, like their existence. And then now it's like, yeah, so imagine now the functional capacity of the person being asked to change. They don't have it, so they can't do it. So then what do? They demand the world changes their view around them and say, no, you're not allowed to look at me bad because like I'm trying. What else am I supposed to do? And from that lens, it is pretty sad, right? Because it's like, yeah, because you have this person with zero skills in this area, and it's true they have zero skills, because if they had the skills, they'd have the physique, they'd have the fitness, they'd have the life, right? And so it's like, yeah, just ask the world to change. I don't know. It's tricky, man. It's a very, very
Well,
tricky
you think about how
situation.
much, right? To your point, they've stacked all these bad habits and things that like they do have dysmorphia about and they feel bad about, but instead, it's like how much energy it takes to try and change the world view versus the much less energy it would take to just change yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So we definitely have to have another podcast about changing yourself, because that's
Yeah.
that's the can of worms right there, man. That's the can of worms. So what I was going to ask earlier is, what do you think are now the physical ramifications of living the lifestyle? No, I don't mean in terms of like cardiac health. We already talked about that kind of stuff. But I mean like, what do you actually think are the things people go through that we could kind of either lend some support to, some solutions, talk about, open up. Here, I'll go first. So seeing when I think sedentarism, what I think is that adage, seated time is a killer, that's been thrown in people's face all the time. Like they demonize the seated posture, they demonize hip flexors, they demonize just shut off glutes, things like that. I'm sure you guys have heard all that kind of stuff, right? And like none of it's real. It's like there's no like demon hip flexor, there's no shut off glutes. You don't have like sleepy glutes. If it did, you couldn't stand up. That's not how it works, right? Even like my grandma has glutes. Like everybody has glutes. And so we need to realize that these things are just more just descriptions for people who are trying to either be clickbaity or just describe something that they don't understand yet. But I do think that what ends up happening again is it can create a feedback loop that might not be preferable. So as an example, you have seated posture. And so while it in itself is not bad, I'm what I consider athletic in this area, and I sit a lot too, and I'm fine. So it's like, okay, so then if I sit a lot too and also do you, then you can't say it's the seated posture, can we? Right? Right. Okay. So we've eliminated that one. So then the next thing would be like, what's it going to lend to, so that we can be like, okay, this is where we're going with this, and it would be like, okay, this is the system of muscles at hand in certain exercises. Have you conditioned those, right? So feedback loop. People go into deadlift immediately because they hear deadlifts are good, do compound motions and squat. They bulge a disc. Okay, probably shouldn't have done that. You sit down all day. So it's not the seated posture, it's the problem of the lifestyle. And then now you're jumping into something that's way beyond your capacity, right? So you're out of your league, right? And then you just can't actually contend. So that's what I see as the feedback loop, because now it reaffirms the person that they can't do fitness, right? So they go back into their seated posture, they go back to the desk job. If anything, now they gain more weight because they can't walk because it hurts. Now they have an injury supporting their belief, and that becomes like a trait. Like they're now identifying with, I have a hurt back. Whenever I exercise, I hurt my back.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering, like, if you mean, like, yeah, what the lifestyle does or what the fitness lifestyle does from that perspective. But yeah, I think it being out of shape. We talk about you're not special in the wrong way, and like I know we get repetitive on things, but it like reinforces the I can't kind of mentality.
Yeah.
I can't lose weight. I can't do that. I can't go to the gym. I hurt myself every time. I can't do this. But it's because they've stacked up being an I can't person by not doing any movement at all for so long that it changes everything about that mindset, just the body mindset, right? They could be a nice person, hard worker, all these kinds of things in whatever job they do, but it impacts their body thoughts so much of I can't do something because it's taken so long. And you can't shake them and be like, it took you 15 years of not doing anything to get here. Why do you expect it to change within a week?
Yeah.
When it is hard that week because you haven't done anything for 15 years. So you've talked about it before, but it's so much more coaching attitudes than it is the body at a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah. Kramer, what are your thoughts?
I mean, pretty much directly aligned with what Alex said. Like, you can't expect to go into it thinking that it'll come easy because it's something that you haven't done in a long time, if at all. And then, I don't know, even just like the whole posture thing, it's demonizing hip flexors and saying that you have sleepy glutes and things like that. It's like, sure, coin those terms. Probably your physio told you that when you went there for back pain or shoulder pain because you're sitting in those positions all day. The reason that you're experiencing those symptoms is because you're not using any of the other muscles that counteract those. So start using those.
Yeah, like you go
And it'll
from
get better.
you go from a position that's heavily dominant here and you go somewhere else. Like that's what people don't understand often about injury. It's just like it's tolerance, right? Tolerance related. So like if I was to go run bases as fast as possible, I may have a problem with my knee tomorrow, right? Because it's just like tolerance. Like what that is demanding of me is different than what I do in the gym. Does that automatically does that automatically mean that everything in the gym I do is wrong? No. It just means that it's not running bases, right? So kind of like you see a posture. It's like, is it wrong? No, but it's not deadlifting, right? You need to condition that system and get it stronger. I was thinking when you're talking, Corinne, might it be useful that we kind of go over some things quickly right here, some truths, and anything that comes to mind, guys, almost like this is our bullet round here that would help people understand things, just because I'm thinking with the person who's stuck in that kind of mindset, anybody who's like, listen to this podcast, so we can clear some truths about, sedentarism, postures, the lifestyle, the limitations, the identities, anything like that. I'll go over a couple and you guys can just jump in as it kind of hopefully kind of starts some stew. Okay. So the first one I was thinking is, let's talk about how a person's metabolism would be broken. Okay. So no, that's not going to happen. Nobody has a broken metabolism. What a person or the person, if this person is thinking I have broken metabolism, you are unaware of how many steps you get a day. And if you track your steps in a day, you do not track your steps in a week or a month. And you need to track those steps and be diligent with them. And then if you track your steps in a week, your day, a month, you don't track your heart rate within the steps in the week, and the day, the month, right? And if you do that, you don't track it for the whole time. You track it for when you want to track it, right? So there's always levels to this. And then that would go the same for food. It would go the same for your workouts. It would go the same for every single area that you're trying to increase fitness. So basically what I'm saying is I've never seen a person who eats chicken breast, broccoli, lean ground beef, squash, sweet potatoes. That's their dietary items, essentially, some fish. And I don't mean some fish, and then the other times it's like Twizzlers. I mean, just like those are the items, right? And then hits 10,000 steps a day, and then hits a workout every single day, and then also goes to bed at like 9 p.m. every single day, and that person be obese. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, right? So that would be the first truth I'll say out there.
Yeah,
Also,
I think,
your body
to
is
that
not
point, a
broken.
truth about all of this
You don't
is
have a bad
okay. Good.
back. Oh, are we
No,
lagging?
you're good. I think. Yeah, you're on. You're on. You don't have a bad back.
Okay.
You're up.
You're not special in that you have a bad back or you have a bad shoulder. We all have human skeletons, and we all have the same muscles that connect all of our joints together. So you are not broken. That's just a fundamental truth.
That one's
I
funny
guess.
though, right? Because people really do believe it, and only in fitness do I actually feel like that's the thing, that's the area where somehow it flies. People are like, oh no, I can't do this. Like you'll have people who literally sit like this and saying, oh no, I just can't do bench press. It's bad for my shoulder. I'm like, dude, you're bad for your shoulder. Like your existence is bad for your shoulder. Like you need to fix everything. And this was a good posture for them because my spine's automatically up, right? Theirs is like kyphotic, and they have like, what do they call the something hump in the back of their neck? Like they're not getting any scapular movement. It's stuck in one place and it's not going anywhere, right? And they're wondering why their shoulder doesn't rotate, why they're tearing their AC joint. It's like, come on. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is, again, you're not special. Like, this is just the way the body works. And if you want to fix it, we can fix it. But if you assume that identity, then you will never look to fix it. Yeah, it's a funny realm.
Exactly.
Yeah, now it
Nailed
might
it.
take some time, and again, the truth is your muscles and body can develop in the same way that a healthy person's or a person who has been in the gym has, but it might take you longer. But that's because the truth is your lifestyle is broken. Your body is not broken, your lifestyle is broken.
Yeah.
And that would be like my truth on that. There's no lifestyle that can't be fixed. Right? You might have already done some damage that you have to deal with for the rest of your life, like the cigarette smoker.
Yep.
Right? If you smoked a pack a day for a long time, you can't really undo that. You can now change your lifestyle to make it a little better in the long run, right? But
And
yeah,
to
your
add
lifestyle is not broken.
and to add another truth, this is a quote. I can't take credit for this. I don't know who said it, but it's a good one. If you walk 10 miles into the forest, you have to walk 10 miles to come back out. So it just goes along with the whole like you've had this lifestyle for the last 15 years. Don't expect that things are going to turn into a 180 after a week of making any changes to that lifestyle.
Yeah. Let me run off that even more, okay? So we're humans. We're either progressing or regressing. Basically, we stop being in this zone of like lovely growth when what, probably 26, maybe late 20s, and then we actually start dying, right? Essentially, like our cells stop replicating at that degree. Now, again, that's not my area, but I do know that happens around there. So we're basically either so we're either regressing or progressing. And so another truth is if you don't get on this, like the whole Corinne thing about you walk 10,000 steps into the forest, you have to walk back. I would wager that for people who this one tonight is aimed at, if you walk 10,000 into the forest, you have to walk 50,000 back. And then that number gets exponentially worse every year you delay this. And I actually, Alex, you saying the whole you might have done some damage. I think people need to realize that more than they really actually should
Are willing to
want
admit.
or willing to admit. Yeah, because it's like
Yeah.
that is so real. Like bone density, muscle mass. Like I don't know. I think there's actually some studies showing that like once you lose neuroplasticity, like it can actually be like you can't get it back. Like if you actually do lose it to a certain degree, you're stuck. You're stuck in that the Gertrude who doesn't want to use her TV remote. She's not changing. She actually is not. That's why you can't be around Gertrude, like Gertie, right? She's like, yeah, insufferable people, right? So when we're looking at trying to get people to get better at this, it's like, yeah, you might not be able to ever have that body again, lady or man or guy or person who's trying to be like, I benched 300 in high school. Why is it so hard now? Well, because you're obese for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
You
sorry.
literally let it all go.
Yeah, it's like it's not happening. And so what you can get is you can get a result. And so that's the other side of it is I see a lot of people talking as if somehow physics and somehow like the world doesn't exist to them in this weird way. Again, special in the wrong way, because they'll somehow act like if they actually do these action items, they don't get a result. I'm like, no, you always get the exact result from the action that you're putting forward. You get the exact result. So if I eat 1 calorie, I get 1 calorie. It's not like my body's like, you got 10. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
I'm
I
gonna
get 1.
multiply it because my metabolism's bad.
Yeah, it's
See,
like, no,
1 equals 10.
Yeah, no, it's like you got 1. And so same kind of thing. It's if you go work out, people were like, well, I stopped working because I wasn't getting results. I'm like, no, you were getting the exact result that you were getting from the workout. It's just your body is horrible. You just have a really shitty body now. And so the result you got was exactly what you deserved. Right? It just takes a long time.
Yeah. Just the time of everything. And right, like you walked or you spent 10 years undoing all that 300-pound bench press or all that fitness you had in high school and college. You did spend another 10 years undoing it. And I mean, yes, so now you have 50,000 steps, but you can still do that 50,000 steps back out of that forest, and you can even try and accelerate a little bit,
Yep.
but it's still a longer way to go,
You've got to
but
want
it's
it.
still going to take a lot of time.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you have anything else, guys, or Corinne, but I was going to say the next thing I was going to say to people is as a truth is that you, because of this position you've put yourself in, yeah, certain things might be hard for you to kind of understand and go through. And it doesn't mean you're devoid from it or you're exempt. So an example would be, and I'm going to put this in women because women hear the numbers, and the numbers are again dissuading to them. They'll hear numbers like 1,200 calories. Like I have to be in a 1,200 calorie diet. I can't do that. That's impossible. I'll starve. It's like, no, you just have no muscle mass and you don't move. So you're welcome to eat 30,000 calories a day if you want, but that means you owe me 100,000 steps. You need to work out and deadlift 500 pounds. You need to do all these things, right? Like they don't understand it. So it's like, yeah, it is actually a hard shame to realize that a person who's in their 50s will probably have to eat around between 1,000 and 1,400 calories to lose weight, maybe even less if they have no muscle mass, actually. So is the answer then to try to diet, or would it be maybe to instead just give yourself good food items consistently that are leverageable and you can maintain consistently, and then try to put on some solid mass, put on some solid muscle, right? Build some lifestyle habits. The point is though that again, go through it, will be uncomfortable. You'll be at the office, you'll be hungry, you'll be tired. It doesn't mean you're exempt. Do you want it? Yes or no? That's your life. And it doesn't make it harder on you than a guy. And that's really important because if a woman is listening to this and they're thinking, well, yeah, I've had to eat 1,500 calories or 1,400 calories, and that's not fair. Men have it easier. My husband loses weight the second he has 2,500 calories. I'm like, yeah, because he's a man. And he's a man who's 100 pounds heavier than you, and he's 6'2". So I would actually argue sometimes that guy actually has it harder than the girl at 1,400 calories, whatever it is, because he is bigger. And so the metabolic effects of having to sustain that body that has to go and lift heavier weights and do things with the bigger mass, it's going to be more strenuous on him. I wouldn't actually say that. I would just argue that it could be argued, right? I think it's equal. I honestly do think it's relative, and I think it's equal. I think that like Corinne dieting, when she's in her relative deficit, and if I had the exact same macros that are relative for me to lose the exact same, we're gonna feel the same.
Yeah.
The
You
only
both feel that hunger. You both feel that
yeah,
lethargy. Yeah.
it's gonna be the exact same thing. The only difference is who's pushing harder in terms of their willingness to stay motivated, right? And who has better mental strategies to get through it. Right? That's the only thing. So if I'm gonna be a baby, Corinne's gonna take that home and she's gonna be like, this is great. Right? And vice versa is also true, right? But that's I think a really tough thing that a lot of people need to realize. And if this podcast is kind of aimed at who I would think it'd be aimed at, my suggestion would be, yeah, do not diet, because you shouldn't. It's like when I remember when I went to the vet for my dog, and the lady was like, yeah, you need to feed your dog less. She's too heavy. That's the reason why her hips hurt. I'm like, she's 14. She already only gets one patty of meat at breakfast and then one patty at night. And that's the maximum she's allowed to have. You're saying I feed her less? She's already not able to walk. What? You tell me. I even asked her, like, what? You tell me what happens if I feed her less. And she goes, oh, she's going to deteriorate. I'm like, exactly. And that's your answer? It's like, no. And I'm like, she needs to move more. I need you to give me something to help her do that. So it's one of those rare situations where like drugs in the dog were kind of like the short-term solution, right? And it's like these things need to be considered. Now, the relation to a human would be like, yeah, if you give this 60-year-old 1,500, 1,400 calories with no life skills and no understanding of things, they're going to catastrophize. They're going to just, fall apart, be hungry, be lethargic, probably quit, probably binge, probably develop shame-based patterns and habits around binging and quitting and feeling inadequate. And then, it's going to turn them into a big mess, right? So my suggestion is like, yeah, again, find some food items that are repeatable, easy, very integratable into your life, right? Things that you like. Understand also that chances are the foods you like right now aren't even real, because what you like is based on your palate that is only centralized because you like crappy food. It's bad for you. So once that goes away after 2 weeks, you'll like different things, and then just continue it. And then just eat consistently well, and you'll grow muscles. You'll feel great. And then you're going to lose weight anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I think the truth is that it's we harp on it. Again, we sound like broken records, but it's also all pretty simple. And that's just the truth. You just have to accept that it might suck a little bit until you get used to it. And then, but the equation and the life itself is pretty simple.
I don't even think it can suck, man, when you actually have made your mind up to it. I really don't. Because I've never thought of that. Like,
no, yeah, I think there's a barrier.
Yeah, right?
Right. And then it doesn't suck anymore. I completely agree.
But, and also, like, if you
so many people quit when it sucks for 2 seconds.
Yeah. But I guess what I was meaning is, like, I don't even think it sucks when you've really felt how bad it can feel, right? So, like, if let's just say you're like, oh, my back hurts, right? Steve, what should I do? And I'm like, oh, you should go for a walk, right? And then you're like, oh, this sucks. Because you don't really actually have a broken back. You just kind of, it's a little bit, bothering you. So you humdrum through your steps. Oh, this is stupid. I don't have time for this. And then what happens is, like, 6 months later, because you don't really do the thing, you don't really look into it, you don't really take any preventative measures. You do something like herniated disc, and you're actually laid up. And you're like, okay, I didn't actually understand what back pain was. I thought I had a hurt back, because people like to throw the word injury around when they're hurt for 2.5 days. And I'm like, this is not an injury. That's barely a check engine light. That's your headlight blinking. You know what I mean? Like that kind of pain is where we live, silly. Like, that's just like part of the game. And it's like, yeah, so then the person actually has a back injury, and they oh, I can't pee. Okay, this is just a new thing. We've entered a new place.
Absolutely been there.
Yeah, it's like underwear doesn't go on by itself anymore. Okay, this is gonna be a fun one. Like, when you're anybody who's listening to this understands, when you're actually looking at your underwear on the ground, you're like,
oh shit.
You're like, how does that get on? I've done that when I had like a kink or something. I was actually looking, I think it was a sock, and I was like, nope. What do I do? Because it wasn't gonna go on. I didn't understand the position, so I was like, so I felt like Leo in Wolf of Wall Street. You're like, because I was basically like just trying a position to see if I could get leverage, and I was like, no, and then like this, no, and it would yell no matter what. And then when you find one, you kind of contort into like, okay, How much can I leverage this? Till
Yeah, and
eventually
you're
you
like
can't.
breathing, like you're hyperventilating. Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like one night when I did it, and I needed to use the restroom in the middle of the night, and it was literally excruciating to try and get up. And I was like, "You're a grown man. You're about to just wet yourself." Didn't happen, thank God, because you figure it like it. But it was a solid, probably only like 3 to 4 to 5 minutes of trying to figure out how to get up. But it felt like hours of like this is never going to
Have you
happen again.
ever hurt yourself intentionally to get out of the other pain?
Yeah, yeah, the Major Pain. Have you seen that movie where he's like, "Well, now your finger don't hurt no more, does
Yeah.
it?"
I've done that. I couldn't get out of bed one time, and so I grabbed onto the skin of my leg and I yanked on it and twisted it as hard as possible. So I felt that, and then I just got up, and I was like, "There we
Oh,
go." So there's levels to everything.
yeah,
There's,
it's chicken.
people just
Yeah,
don't
that's
understand it.
awesome.
Anyways, where we were coming from, we're talking about like doing the thing. The point is what I was trying to make is like when you're thinking it sucks, it's like, it only sucks to you because you haven't actually felt what really sucks. And so once you've felt what really sucks, is nothing else sucks anymore because you actually felt it. And the only way to actually know is if you know. And then there's no criteria to that. It's just like, do you know? And a person who knows follows through because they're like, no, I've been there. And it's really hard to articulate people because they'll
Yeah,
ask you things like, well, how are you adherent? How are you so at peace with this? How are you doing this? Like, how do you hit your workouts every day? How do you not just like skip when it's like easy? I'm like, well, because like I know what I feel like when I don't do this. Like I'm okay having a day off here, and that doesn't bother me because I know I'm in control globally, right? But like I will never skip where I'm like, I don't want to work out today, even though I have time. It's like, oh, I don't want to. I'm just gonna sit on the couch and just like thumb
you'll
my
be all
butt.
right.
It's like, no, this doesn't work like that. It's like I'm gonna go because I love it, and they don't understand it because they haven't actually been to that point where they genuinely are dissatisfied with how they feel as a person. Now, whether that's a confidence thing, an image thing, or whatever it is that makes the thought go ding ding in their head to create that change. And it could be anything. It could be again integrating like movement patterns, getting mobility, whatever it is that sets it off. Who the hell knows? Again, we're talking about creating value here, but that's when it no longer is hard. The person trying to go through 1,400 calories, I could do that sitting on my head if I had to,
Mm.
right? The person, that's what they're thinking. It's like I could do whatever because I know what I feel like when I go back to the person. That person doesn't make sense to me, right? It's not worth it. Anyways, I'll stop ranting. Did you guys have any other hard truths?
Not
I
necessarily a
didn't.
hard truth, but
Yeah,
maybe just like a closing thought.
Hmm.
The truth is that once you get to the other side, you won't want to go back.
Yeah.
As in, once you get in shape and you get into the groove of the new improved lifestyle, you're not going to want to go back to those old habits. So
as long
just
as
stick
as
with
long
it.
as you do it well in terms of as long as you actually work for it and aren't doing it through like white knuckling and shame based behavior. If it's through
Yeah.
that, yeah, I've actually found the other thing happens. People convince themselves that they were happy before.
just because they're using pain and misery to get results.
Well, yeah, there's like pain and misery, or they don't actually want it. They're just like it's all hate. It's all hate inspired movement. You know what I mean? Like Williamson talks about this all the time about how hate and like revenge or it's potent fuel, but it's toxic, right? And I
Yep,
couldn't agree more because it's like, yeah, it can,
unsustainable.
yeah, if you can do that, you'll do it. But I've seen that again. I'm gonna point my finger at women here because I've seen them do it more than men. I've never really seen a guy do it. Oh no, I shouldn't. I have had a guy do that, but it's more often with women. They'll accomplish this goal and then they'll get there and they're like, no, but I don't like myself because I couldn't go out and I couldn't enjoy the foods I want. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this, right? I hated myself then. I'm like, yeah, but you were doing this crazy restrictive thing that you didn't actually have the skill set for. Nobody guided you through it. You didn't actually want anything. You were pushed into a bodybuilding competition. You just started working out a month ago. Like nothing makes sense. And they're just like grabbing on for dear life. Like, I just got to make it to like May 1st. And then just keep on going until finally they get there. They go up on stage, lose, and they get out of it. And they're like, why? And then the whole thing is just shrouded in negativity. And then like, yeah, I liked my old self better. Like, as long as that's not the equation, Corinne, I agree with you 100%. You're not going to go back because you've built it. You've built it, built self-confidence. But I don't think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I feel like I opened a can of worms with that one.
Oh, 100%. Well, it's true though, because I have seen that. I've seen people like legitimately talk about how they don't want to go. And it's sad because you can always tell in the back of their head, like nobody ever likes themselves in a place where they know that they could achieve more. That's just a human fallacy. You can simply not like yourself in a place when you're in a place that you know you could achieve more. Like Alex, you would not be proud of yourself right now if every single day you left the gym knowing you could have worked harder.
No, yeah.
You wouldn't.
The whole I killed it. I killed my workout.
Yeah.
Nope. My workouts kill me.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
100%. Yeah, my soul's still there. I'm actually, this isn't Alex talking. This is Patricia. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I think we need to figure out another series to go on. This was good. Sorry for the
some follow-ups.
Technical difficulties today.
Yeah, but we got through it. Yeah, that's all right. Like I said, we continue to work through kinks here and there, but I think it was a good one, and we definitely have another topic of the different types of fuel, whether it's like getting started with hate, but going towards the just being happier with yourself because it's working, right? Like using different types of fuel to get through things. But yeah, I think we can brainstorm on a new series the next time around with some follow-up episodes.
It can happen.
But until then, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications.
There you go.
And
excellent.
All the things.
Awesome.
You are really good at that. You got them all down.
There you go.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Enjoy your night.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.